Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Storytellers series. I am your host, Carrie Rose O'Connell, back with you today with two of our wonderful members of New Mexico Women in Film, Keith Allen West and Michelle Tomlinson. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me.
Thank you.
It is really great to have both of you here. I've had a history of being able to work with both of you. So to be able to see you move on to this project and it be so brilliantly funny and charming and so Albuquerque in its feel that I am just very excited to talk to both of you today about the inspiration for Deeply Superficial, where you're at with the project. We'll play a little trailer for everybody so you can see a little piece of this great project and kind of talk about what your next steps are and how the community can best support you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So Keith, I'd like to start with you. You've kind of had a unique background coming into the film industry. It seems like you went from like zero to SAG to ready to work to creating your own stuff very, very quickly. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into film?
Absolutely. I am the typical serial entrepreneur. So I have been practicing and playing in everything from skincare manufacturing to I used to own a hotel, spa, coffee shop. So my first foray into the film industry was actually when I lived in New Orleans. They always wanted to pay me a couple $100 cash to park the catering truck for whatever was filming in front of my driveway because it was a really good location. So then I got free food and cash for them to film. But then I also started in 2004 in reality series with AOL called The Startup. So they did reality series before anybody else. And that kind of let me dabble in it. But what I decided when I had my midlife crisis, which is really what Deeply Superficial is kind of about, is that 40-something divorcee, I'd been married for 24 years, gay dating, gay marriage, gay divorce is what I tell people. So you can do both. And when I decided I wanted to be an actor, what I started researching was I do the typical Google, how to be an actor, right? But then I started realizing that nobody out there, I couldn't find websites or information that gave me the importance of the business side of acting, like how to do it beyond just like how to do a great audition or how to get an agent or how to do those things. Right. So I started researching and it was a theory I put in my mind. I said, I wonder if I can apply everything as an entrepreneur to becoming an actor. So that's what I credit. I went from like my first acting class to being SAG-AFTRA eligible in 14 months. Nice. So, it was like everything fell into place, but I totally credit the fact that I did it, number one, because I have an amazing team of people around me that love me, but I did it all from that standpoint of doing acting as a business, not just acting as a passion. And part of that was realizing too that, okay, yes, I was lucky enough to be in a really great 48-hour film festival, so I got some clips from that. But when people would ask me, Keith, what's your ideal role? I'm like, oh my God, comedy. I need a sitcom. I need something like that. Great, let us see your footage. And I'd go, yeah, I don't have any. So it was kind of like part of the business process. And then Deep Superficial took off from there. The most important thing in my entire journey of becoming an actor was having that, not really drunken, kind of buzzed conversation with my agent as we were having drinks about not getting roles and auditioning and whatever. And she said, well, you have to remember you're new, so you probably need a coach. Do you know Michelle Tomlinson? And I was like, no, but I'll have another margarita. So then she connected us. And then boom, I started coaching with Michelle, which just kind of all fell into my lap.
And Michelle was the secret to your success.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Worded.
So again, so Deeply Superficial is largely based on your own experience, yes?
Totally, yeah. So what I realized, I had a little bit of a problem when I first started writing it. Actually, I had two problems. One was my first draft was just a bunch of funny stories strung together. So it was almost written like a Saturday Night Live, like with a series of skits. And I thought, oh my God, this is so funny because all these things have actually happened to me. And then I ran it by Rachel Ronsich, who's now in LA. and she's an amazing actress, comedian from Albuquerque. And she sat me down and she's like, she tapped me on the head. It's really cute. It's a cute series of stories, but it's not an episode. It's not a pilot. It's not a TV show. You need to go research. I want you to go watch. You want to be a 90s, 80s sitcom, go watch 90s, 80s sitcoms. Figure out the formula. There's a story A, B, C. There's this, there's that. So then my other problem was, as a journalist, I tend to write things as a biography, like as they happen.
Okay.
Well, nobody cares about a 30-minute section of your life, or in this case, an 18-minute section of your life. We have to take a year of your life and condense it into 18 minutes that's funny.
Right.
So I had to get beyond like, but this didn't happen until this happened. Well, they're going to both happen on the same day in your episode, because that makes it funny and it gives you your story.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest issue, was coming up with that. And then I'd also, because I have this amazing 9,000 square foot building, which was built as an old music school, we didn't have to do any, changes as far as where we were filming. Everything could be done in one location. So I also looked at shows like the old Bob Newhart show, where they filmed it all at the inn. I looked at Melrose Place, where they filmed it all pretty much at Melrose Place, and then started figuring out, okay, how do we do that? Oh, that means the other characters have to live in the building, because then we can do this and that. Because like on Friends, the people just bust into Jerry's apartment. They don't knock, right? Because Kramer lives across the hall. So we had to come up with this world that, yes, was based on Keith, but is far more exciting and far more funny than Keith.
That's awesome. So I want to know, kind of, you talk about some real, it seems like, even just from the bit of the trailer that I've watched, you talk about some real challenging stuff. I mean, that long of like you said, a 24-year long marriage and a divorce, right? So
yep.
Those things are incredibly challenging, emotionally and mentally, for us to deal with as humans. And so I'm wondering, for you, is comedy the perspective that you like to look at from life? So that was the natural way for you to write it?
Absolutely. I totally believe comedy is therapy. So not only did I get divorced from a 24-year relationship, it was really a verbally and mentally abusive relationship. So it was time to get out of that. Yeah. So that's why when I tell them I'm divorced and they do the sad face, oh, like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, we're happy. We're happy. We are so happy. No, this is a good thing.
Right.
Oh, and not only, and in the typical Keith Allen West sort of way, not only did I get a divorce, our divorce was on a Bravo TV show called Untying the Knot. So Bravo actually came to my house and filmed us splitting up the physical belongings. Wow. And let's just say I got the building, I got the business, and I got the pet pig, so life is happy. So yes, we talk about those kind of things. We talk about, in Deeply Superficial, like the fact that I went to therapy afterwards to help with that. We talk about kind of what it's like getting back into the dating world, because I'm also noticing, thank God for the COVID stuff, I don't have to date. But like even the thought of getting back into dating, I mean, yeah, the last time I dated, I was 19 and 20. So hell, I don't know what that's like. Nor do I mean, at this point, Priscilla, who's in the show, my pet pig, Priscilla Pig of the Desert, is my connection to the world, right? So I mean, she's like my therapy pig. But yeah, it was one of those where, it was almost therapeutic for me to write it, but I used comedy to survive Hurricane Katrina. When I was in South Africa, we were on a safari and the truck got stuck in the mud and we were literally stalked by 5 lions. And I used comedy to get anything in life that's difficult. Comedy is my savior. And I think it's because, like, when I was growing up and trying that whole like coming out, who am I thing, I used to watch these amazing TV shows with like Nell Carter called Give Me a Break and all that stuff that I look forward to every week. And Perfect Strangers. I just saw an article about that recently about maybe there'll be another Perfect Strangers.
Oh, wow.
And all those things made up my life as a teenager. And I think it's funny that I literally see myself almost like a Jerry Seinfeld, not that I'm that talented, but in that kind of world. Like I can see myself living a sitcom.
That's awesome.
Also about the acting aspect for you, Keith, as somebody who wrote that and have it be such a personal story. A lot of actors get really stuck in trying to play the character that they wrote for themselves.
Mm.
I've coached a lot of people who have created their own content having this exact issue of really like, how do I connect to a version of me that isn't today's version of me without being over the top or crazy or whatever. And what was really great is that you stuck to the authenticity of the moment to moment, very present and very authentic to the script you wrote. And it, for me, from the directing standpoint, stopped being about Keith's story, right? About the things that actually happened. And from a storytelling standpoint, just came together as this beautiful project because Keith didn't delve into a lot of the drama of the real, and just kept, the whole thing was still very light and very just connected on an authentic level, which is not an easy task. And he pulled it off great, like super, super great. So great that he wound up winning a Best Actor award at the Queen Palm City Film Festival.
Yeah.
Because there are these really beautiful little moments, these transitions that he's able to hit. He was able to separate himself from his past self and just tell the story. Super important.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we had trouble with that. So we did a table read a couple months before we filmed. And in the original script, it was written, the character name was Keith. And the trouble I was having was, thanks to therapy, I realized that I lived most of my life not as Keith, but as a version of Keith that he showed the world. So now, as I'm sitting there in the table read, like I was trying to play Keith being a version of Keith, being a funny version of Keith, but also being a great actor because I'm a perfectionist and I have to impress people. And it didn't work.
Yeah, we rebooted Mark with a C, as a matter of fact. Like,
yeah. So we literally, once Michelle and I talked and we changed the name of the character to Mark, all of a sudden all the Keith filter stuff went away and Keith could identify with Mark. Oh my God, yes, Keith's been Mark. So Keith can do that without having to be whatever version of Keith I've had to show up for in my life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was exactly the moment. Yeah, same day, right after the table read, I'm like, dude,
you're like, you're not
like, we gotta.
She did a great job. She didn't do the, ooh, that sucked. She just did the, you're not connecting.
But we did change the name. I was like, I don't know that Keith is like the name for this.
Nope.
Why don't we just flip the dude's name into something else? And he was like, Mark. And I was like, with a C? And your exact words, I think, were, well, of course, with a C.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Of course. It turned into Mark with a C, and it just sailed. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. It's interesting because you really, you work so hard, so you don't really want to go back and re-be that old self, right? Because you've worked to transition and grow from that person. So that's a great way to kind of shift your mindset. And I love the way you articulate that. I'm Keith trying to play old Keith, trying to be funny Keith.
Right.
Yeah. And because I think that's what happens to our minds when we're creating, right? And so the fact that you guys worked as a team to find just even the smallest little simple trick can be
we changed a 5-letter name to a 4-letter name, and it literally made the show. Because it would not, I would not have been as comfortable, I would not have been as in the moment or anything because of it. Like you and I talked about before we started recording, people don't realize it, but I'm actually an introvert. So when people meet me out in public, when they see me, when I'm entertaining a group at a happy hour or something, I am acting. That is Keith on stage. And then Keith goes home and crashes for a few hours.
Yeah.
But it was also nice because when I made the decision of how I was going to write Deeply Superficial, it's really about those crazy characters around me. My mom, my best friends, my agent, who's also this crazy astrology woman, right?
Yeah.
So that was the other part of making these characters, was each character in Deeply Superficial is a combination of 4 or 5 actual characters in my life that I just took these funny bits from and then merged them together to create, these 40 people that have influenced me are now, 5 people.
This small little community. And just to say before we move on, why table reads are such important practice before you get into it, right?
Oh,
Just side note
Amen.
for all your filmmakers out there.
the table read for, Keith had written this with specific human beings in mind to play specific characters. So I came in having not met any of these. Well, I met a couple of them prior, but not really having met any of these actors. So the table read was ultimately their audition. Like this was like the director's moment to be like, is this going to work with these people? We have a great script. Are the actors going to be able to pull this off? And it was actually in the table read, and this is a really important note for actors to really, really, really understand and hear. During the table read, there was a human being, and I thought, goodness, this is not going to work with this particular human being. They were so kind. They were very talented, but they were not at all the character as written on the page. Yeah. And I outturned myself inside out because I have a pretty long acting history for myself, and I've never lost like a job. And so it became this director thing of like, oh my God, I'm going to have to really work with this actor. And so I tried. And I did the things, and I did the hand holding, and I did what I could. But I thought ultimately I cannot handhold one actor who is one of the strongest characters in this entire script. If I handhold this human, I'm going to let other things fall that I can't, right? Because as the director, as Guy Norman B would say, you have this velvet hammer. You're hired to bring this work, this vision to fruition. And sometimes you have to lovingly use the velvet hammer. And so ultimately I wound up having to let this person go. And it was awful. And I felt horrible. And it was not about them. It was how, as a director, can I serve the story the best? And when you're working under those guidelines and under the premise of the story comes before anything else, then you get really clear on what is and isn't going to work. Right. So unfortunately, that was the road we had to take. And I opened up the casting, and a surprise casting came in that wasn't even the right age range or specs that I had put out, but it was somebody I had already worked with before. And they said, hey, too bad this isn't da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh boy. You should probably send in an audition video. Yeah. In walks Angela with this audition video, and I was by myself, as I often was pre-COVID, in a coffee shop working, watching audition videos roll in, trying to give some callback notes to different actors who were kind of closely dancing around the character. Angela Wilson sends me this audition tape that was so strong and so specific that I leapt out of my seat in this coffee shop by myself. And I was like, oh my God! Oh my God! That's it! Laughing, and I called Keith. I was like, I need to direct book her. I'm going to send you the audition tape. Like, I get goosebumps even thinking about it. I was like, dude, we have to direct book her before she ends up booking something else and she becomes unavailable, because I will die if she can't make this shoot. Oh, wow.
That was a super important conversation that we had too, because I was sitting there rereading Deeply Superficial, and I was like, so first of all, I believe women and girls have all the answers, so we need to listen to them more often. But I realized I needed a female director. So for me, it was, okay, now who do I know? Because I am actually one of those actors that has no interest in directing. I don't want to, no interest at all. I love producing because I am a planner. I read a book one time, and it said, if you can plan weddings, you can be a film producer, because it's basically that kind of thing. The skill sets are the same. So I was like, I can totally produce this. I can totally act in it, and I can write in it. I have no interest in directing it. So I just literally sent her a text, and I was like, have you ever thought about directing? And boom, it fell into place. Wow. So, but we had the conversation that literally, yes, I wear the producer hat, I wear the writer hat, and I wear an actor hat, but you are director. It is your job to do the vision, and I am not going to stand in your way of that. So when she came to me all heartbroken over having to change actresses, I was like, okay, and she's like, but are you sure? I mean,
I don't want to ruin your friendship, dude.
Yeah,
you got to do for the story.
For sure.
Do this. Yeah. oh, my stomach was in
Yeah.
knots. Like,
So no, she literally, with the 2 days we filmed and everything, she was the director. She was in charge. She got to say yes and no to stuff. I, never had to put my producer pump down and say, wait, no, this is the vision I have. Nothing. It just fell into place.
But we were really like, we spent a lot of time on there's two hummingbirds dancing outside my window.
Oh, nice.
A lot of time in prep. Like, we prepped this for months. When you think of just a 2-day shoot, right? Like, it wasn't something we were shooting for 2 weeks. It was just a 2-day shoot.
Saturday, Sunday, we're done. Yep.
Boom. And, it needed to be a hard out at 12 hours, in and out, 12 hours of overages and unions and all the things. Yep. And
we went through the process of making it SAG-AFTRA because we did have some union actors that were, that we wanted to include. So I had to go through as a producer and do all the paperwork, and it really wasn't that hard. So I'll tell people now, don't be afraid of the paperwork.
No, it's really not that
bad. Yeah, it's not really that difficult. Just do it.
It just sit down, be quiet,
and
read. And you can do it.
And one tip is SAG-AFTRA is not there to help you. So they're not going to hold your hand through it. Do it. Do the best you can, send it in. If they have a problem with it, they will be happy to tell you the problem with it.
Yeah.
And then you can fix it. But just because I was like, is there a tutorial? Should I watch a YouTube video about how to fill out this paperwork? And they're kind of like, yeah, just turn it in. But I want to make sure that I get it right. So is there a how-to? And they're like, no, just send it in. I was like, okay. And we did it. We were fine.
And this original script was like 30 pages, I think.
Yeah, I wrote it as a half hour or 30-minute filmed comedy.
30 minutes. And I was like, this is dope. Like, this is really great. And it flows like water. And I love it. And it's going to take at least twice as much time to shoot this many pages. So I was like, dude, like, we can cut your budget in half and cut the shooting days in half by cutting the script in half, and present it more like a spec pilot presentation or even a short film if you wanted to take that route with it. But we can just go for a certain minute amount versus really breaking the bank completely, having to wait on funding, having to wait on all these things. So I was like, it's up, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, why don't you just go ahead and edit the script? And I was like, what? Remember this conversation, honey? Why don't you go ahead and just edit out however it's going to make
That's my trust. I'm just like, you do what you think you do, you boo. You do, you boo. Because I had no clue. Again, I couldn't figure it out. I wouldn't have been able. I couldn't have edited a trailer with it. I love it all.
So
this is where you have to rely on each other's expertise, though, right? This is where you have to let go of control and share expertise, share the load.
It's the village. If you don't have the right village, it's not going to work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And Keith and I, from moment one, just came together like just gangbusters. Just moment one, from the first moment I ever coached him. So it was nerve-wracking to be told, cut the script in half. And I was like, holy hell, are you sure? Yeah. And so I was like, okay, all right, so I'm going to do this. And it took me like 2 weeks because every time I sat down to do it, I would be like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. And I was like, no, Tomlinson, you got this. So I just sat down and was like, how can I glue these things together to still make a solid story? And just started crossing stuff out on a hard copy first. And then I would read it out loud, and then I would undo what I had crossed out, and then I'd read it out loud and just make sure that structurally I didn't murder the entire story.
Right.
We still introduced the right people at the right time with the right quirks and characteristics that everybody had. And then I was bold enough to actually do it and send it in and be like, all right, man, here's my take. And he was like, oh my God, that totally works. And I was like, all right, okay. Like, it took me a minute, but once I was like, not Tomlinson, like, just get.
And we didn't play around. I wrote this in April. By June, you were the director. You were cutting the script down. July, we did the table read. September, we filmed it. It was edited and ready to go by the first of the year. And boom, we started submitting because, that's one of my biggest frustrations as an entrepreneur, as a go-getter with this industry, is it's like, okay, great, we'll launch that in 2067.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I need this for my real people. I need this for come on.
Yeah.
So we
And it's
did
a great
it.
way to build, Keith, for you, those additional components to your demo reel as an actor that you were talking about. I love the comedy. And so now you have some really strong comedy to your demo reel, which is fantastic. You
Yep.
were able to deal with SAG, get things on time, and wear the multiple hats. I had an absolute incredible time directing amazing humans, working with nothing but top-notch talent across the board, above the line, below the line. Everybody that we worked with when we shot this was epic.
Which
Nice.
were all New Mexico people.
Yeah.
All of us. Yeah. Which was
That's
why it was
great.
another reason it just fell together.
Well, let's do this. You guys are adorable together, by the way. You're just like, and this is why we're so doing it. I just loved it. So I want to share the trailer with everybody really quick so that they can kind of see now a little bit, at least, of what we've been talking about. And then when we get back from the trailer, we'll talk a little bit about, Michelle, your point of view directing, and a little bit more about the production. And I just want to get a little bit more from you on your production process so that those out there that are trying to make their own can get some good inspiration from you guys.
Right on.
All right, and here we go.
Okay, guys, I have my first official post-divorce date tomorrow night.
I can't live with your sister anymore. She's such a bitch.
Mom, what are you doing? So good to see
Hi.
you. So good to
Hi.
see you.
Oh, hello. You must be the date. I am the mom. Yes, I am short to have had a son that size.
Tomorrow's a good day for dating. It's our 10th wedding anniversary. I've made us our regular reservations at Chez France. Closed by order of the health department. See what happens when I let you make the plans? This can't be here. They know us. They have our table.
How romantic. It's perfect. It's a great day to start a relationship.
We still have a big salad left. Whoa. You're quite ready to jump into a relationship game. It's okay just to hook up. You just need to have some chicken to screw. Chicken?
Chicken is hot, horny, gay guys 25 and under.
And at Mark's age, he's known as a chicken hot.
Awkward Leghorn cartoon?
Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm Mark's agent.
Screw you and your wife's donuts.
Oh, this is a bad day in the stars.
That is why today went so wrong.
Or why it went so right to us and our Albuquerque Melrose Place. Yay!
That makes my heart
Yay.
so happy.
So that was so brilliant. Like I've said, I've watched that several times now, getting ready for this interview today, and I just giggle and laugh every time I watch it. It is a very well done trailer.
Thank you. We had an amazing editor.
Yes.
Yes.
Alex Simon saved our lives with this project, with his editing, which I'm happy to get into.
And he won an award at the Queen Palms International Film Festival for Best Silver Award for editing, which we didn't even know we were nominated for. We just got the award and we were like, wait, what? Editing? Who?
Yeah.
What?
That's
of course.
great.
Yeah, look at that.
It
Yeah.
was so amazing.
But even now when I watch the trailer, I'm like, oh my God, there's a whole lot of shit going on. Wow, I would watch that. And I'm like, of course I would. I wrote it.
Yeah, no, it really is a trailer that makes you want to see the full episode, honestly. And so I'd like to turn to Michelle for just a little bit. You have a career in film that includes acting, casting director, and now director. Any other roles that you like to fill in film? Or those are kind of three keys?
Those are the
Well,
three.
she is the go-to coach, though. I never want people to forget that. Because
coach, yeah.
She's the first one who could coach me into how to get a co-star role, how to get a guest star role. So nobody else was able to do that. So that's why I refer people to her for, and it's amazing because it's just, Zoom, Skype, whatever, FaceTime. But yeah, I don't want to leave that out at all.
Thank you so much. It is largely what I do. I love teaching and coaching actors. I love turning my journey into something that other people can learn from, and turning the different techniques that I have worked and had success working into a technique that other actors can utilize in order to book their own jobs. And also, I love helping actors like break through to the other side, because sometimes we just get these blocks, these beautiful blocks in our head that we think are real, but they're not. And so it's really invigorating to see and experience the actor who goes, oh wait, yeah, no, this block is not real. I did buy somebody else's truth about me somewhere along the line, so I'm just going to go bam and bust down this bad boy and reach the other side of it, and book the job and move my life forward and continue to work in sessions, continuing to break through. It is epic. I just had one yesterday. I almost started crying with him, because this guy had this vulnerable scene, and he worked his ass off on it and did all this homework I suggested. I was just, and I was, oh, I have a line. I have to say my line for him to keep going. Oh shit, what's my, okay, blah, blah, blah. Because I was so into what he was doing, because he was just, oof, breakthrough in progress. It was freaking awesome.
Do you find when you coach like that it actually helps you as an actor yourself? Do you kind of get your own personal breakthroughs with their breakthroughs?
I do. I don't have, I've done the coaching for so long, and I've said the things for so long that I follow my own things. And when I feel myself bump up against the wall, as you're suggesting, when I bump up against my own walls, we all have them.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. Like, how did this get in my psyche in the first place? Let me just kick around that and let that piece go. I was in a relationship with somebody who every time I had an audition, he would go, "Oh, good, so I can finally quit my job." And I'd be like, "Bro, it's a co-star, like 3 line, like this is not job quitting thing for you." Like,
yeah.
it was just a very strange thing, and I found over time of hearing that it really affected my own ability to book, and it took me a moment and a lot of sage burning and meditating and really getting strong and centered to release that energy and just kind of release the toxicity that brought to the table. So when we're actors, well, when we're creatives of any kind, we have to be really careful who we decide to make bread with, man. Like, we got to really watch who we surround ourselves with, because we do ultimately soak in their stuff.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, there's an energy exchange that happens, and it can be really great and illuminating, and it can be really not so great. So it's just a matter of being really careful, because those walls will all of a sudden erect themselves, and you will ask yourself, where the hell did that even come from?
Right. Yeah.
With getting centered and being really mindful. But yes, I can totally listen to how an actor does the things and go,
yeah.
They inspire me all the time. Yeah.
So working on Deeply Superficial as the director, but also having your hands in helping get the script trimmed down, and how familiar you are with Keith and the backstory of it. Was it challenging to have this type of comedy as your first kind of directive work?
There were challenges, but I wouldn't say that the challenge was the comedy part, because I get Keith.
Yeah.
Like, I get him. My spirit knows his spirit. So we just have an understanding. So that was really easy. And the comedy was really easy because I understand the pacing of comedy. It's part of what I teach as a teacher and a coach.
Right.
So the challenges were never about the script or about the style, tone, or genre of the script at all. That was actually extremely easy.
What were the challenges for you?
Well, the replacing an actor was like that. It's not fun. Actors, just so you know, when you get replaced for a reason, it's really not you. It's really you're not fitting the essence of the character. There's a piece of you that's not fitting with the character as the character's written, and it's never anything personal. Just FYI. But that was an awful thing to encounter. I'm glad it happened in one sense, because now that I've experienced it, but sadly, so did the actor. And hopefully it strengthened a piece of her own journey so that she was able to take something from that experience, learn from it, and have it catapult her wherever she needs to go next. Everything happens for a reason. The next challenging thing was we had a gentleman who was attached to be the DP, that somebody Keith had worked with in the past. And I thought, oh my God, fantastic, because we got to have a DP who can share a brain, right? It becomes all symbiotic. And so I met the fella on table read weekend, and I was like, this guy's rad. Like, I liked the person, and he was like really down. Like, we went over the script and kind of talked about, the where and the how and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, this is great. Like, he gets all the things. Well, funnily enough, I get there on a Thursday. We were going to have a rehearsal and a photo shoot on Friday. And then we were going to shoot on Saturday and Sunday. So I get there Thursday night at like 7, and like at 9 p.m., we got broken up with. Keith and I got broken up with by this gentleman who, whatever his journey is, that needed to be part of his journey, right? Yeah. And I whatever, man. And then whatever our journey needed to be, here we were. And we were like, okay, cool. So we're less than 24 hours away from a rehearsal, an on-camera rehearsal, and a photo shoot for all of this. And I was like, all right, cool. Keith, do you have any sage? Like, let me go to my store and get this. And
I thought she was going to ask for weed. I was like, no, I don't have any in the house.
No. And I think I did this with my hands. Like, I need an abundance of sage, because I really am a practitioner of spirituality, of energy and stuff like that. So burning sage for me is very clarifying and getting negative spirits.
Which is another one of our connections. We feel the same.
Exactly. So, Keith is a lot taller than I am. He's like 6'3". What are you, 6'3"?
We're saying that now, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm holding his hand and I'm doing this, burning sage over our heads. I'm like, baby, it's all right. It's going to work out. You know what's going to happen, honey? We are going to have a brand new DP by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it's going to be perfect. And we got this. Like, it's easy. It's no big deal. So, like, walking around everywhere the original DP had been, and I was just like smoking out his entire downstairs with this sage. So I was like, yeah. And so we did that, and then I sat down on my laptop, and I was like, I'm in New Mexico. I'm not in Los Angeles. I don't know any DPs in New Mexico. So I contact people like Jim C. and all of these other, like Michael Miller, like all these different people going, all right, does anybody know a really killer DP? Barb Odell came through with somebody, and she, she's brilliant. Wow. So I messaged the message, get a hold of Patrick, and by 9:55 the next morning, we got the DP totally set and solidified.
Wow.
So this challenge, but there was never a doubt. Even going through the challenge, it was just like, well, this is just going to work out. We're here. We're going to do this. It's just going to work out. Right. And so it did. And then let's see, the next, like the challenge, actors were not challenged. Everybody cast in this was.
We finished early the first day and looked at each other like, we missed something. We did it in 10 hours instead of 12? What?
Yeah. Everybody was incredible.
Was it hard just being in the one location for the most part, or was that easier on you guys?
There was challenges with that because you had to be careful not to stack the actors.
Yeah.
Right? How do we keep this men, like as they all came into the house, it was like, how do we keep them, all active enough to where it doesn't become this line of actors saying dialogue to each other like a little zipper. Right? So how do we, so it was like giving giving people things to do, different ideas of entering. And then you're working with ridiculously talented actors who come in prepared, totally off book, ideas about how they want to approach the scene or go through it or do the things. And I'm very like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you going to bring to this before I start going, do this, do this? You know, they came in with these incredible ideas and suggestions of how they wanted to roll it out. I think I kept about 98% of it, and then came in with my own, like, here's a place to move here, and here's about the line with this, think about the pacing with this. But the actual production, I don't think it could have possibly gone smoother.
Yeah. It's great.
One of the other tips that I'll give people, so we lost a DP, we got another DP and a second camera. So I will tell you, if you can, it is worth the extra money to have 2 cameras filming a show like this, which is normally, you know, what, a 3 camera is what a sitcom normally is filmed in. So by having 2 cameras, it did speed it up, and it's well worth the extra money. So that's a definite production tip.
Totally. Yeah. And when you do work with multiple cameras or any cameras, it's really essential to make sure that everybody has all of the footage on several hard drives. Yeah. As Keith and I experienced with an editor, not Alex Simon, because Alex Simon is a badass. With an editor, we ran into no work in progress, no links, for 2.5 months. We were waiting for anything. Is like, you know, Bueller.
Yeah, I got it. It's almost done. I've got it laid out. Great. Can we see it? Nothing. Silence. Nothing.
Radio silence. And so then became an insane hurdle of, we get the drives back and 60% of the B-roll footage was missing. Oh. And not attainable. And so I was like, well, I know somebody who can totally be a magician to this. And so I call Alex Simon, and I've worked with him off and on for like 14 years. And I'm like, dude, I've got like a thing for you, and it's not going to be easy, and I'm sorry. And I've got like scripty coverage notes, so that'll be easy to start gluing things together. But
and none of the files were named right. We didn't handle this part. Our stuff was handled. What we worked on personally, boom, we had it. But no, we didn't. No.
But you know, and that was a great lesson for me as the director to really ensure, because I'm used to trusting people to just do their jobs. Right. We're all professionals. We all love this industry, and we all get along. Like, why on earth would you ever want to cause a blip on somebody's radar in a negative way? I don't know, man. Like, whatever. So as the director, I really took home the lesson of, sweet God, quadruple check with my own fingers.
Yep.
We have every single drop of footage in our own possession. Yeah. Before drives start walking out the door. And what happened?
And I think
packing happened. Fastness happened.
And you've worked for 10 or 12 hours, so then somebody else is like,
I've got the drives, I'll see you guys. Boom.
Yeah. It's going to take 4 hours to transfer this, so I'm just going to take it home and transfer it, and I'll bring it back tomorrow. When you get the drive back and you start comparing, because we were like, we have 3 drives. Let's make sure all 3 drives, they all have exactly the same number of files. Perfect. All 3 lined up. Great. We're good. Well, no, because what we were comparing wasn't complete. So, we thought we had a check in place that was not an actual check for what we needed, and still came out with this award-winning, amazing thing. Yeah. Because, again, the editing threw it all together, and it is a solid story.
But, you know, it also teaches you, anybody who listens to this, anybody who's wanting to create content, don't get weirded out by the stories that you hear. Don't worry about the nightmares. Take our lessons. Sometimes you have to replace an actor. You gotta pony up, and you gotta do it, and it sucks. Sometimes you're gonna have to find somebody who's really key to the whole project. You're going to have to replace that person suddenly out of nowhere. It's okay. It will work out. Right. Sometimes some of your footage is going to walk out the door, never to be seen again. That's okay, because there's always going to be a way to come over the challenges that are brought to you. no matter what happens, unless everything blows up in a fiery haze, you can salvage your vision. You can
Right.
absolutely salvage your vision, stay true to it, and keep it moving in a forward momentum with love, with grace, with passion, and with the right players in place. So don't take any of the drama stories as, oh my God, I shouldn't do my project. No, do the project. Just learn the
Right.
lesson from us to not repeat any of those mistakes. You'll make your own because that's what we
Amen.
know, you know?
Yeah, I think you guys are setting a real example just throughout your discussion today about how important it is to consistently just move forward and use. I think sometimes too we get some blinders as far as what we see as our assets, and we actually have way more assets than we think we do if we remember to do things like reach out to your network, right? Somebody knows somebody, right?
Yep.
And just simple things like that that you don't let stop you, are it's just instrumental to being a filmmaker, because if you don't just keep getting it done, you're never going to actually create anything, and
Yeah.
you'll always want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
You want to just become one. You really just need to find the way to get from A to Z and put out even your very first short film, right? You have to just experience those troubles. And I think you guys have done a great job today kind of helping people understand that those things are going to happen potentially. It's all about how you respond, right? It's your reaction to these things that really sets the tone and the result. I'm curious, was this a big budget? You don't have to give me your base number figures, but
Oh, I'll
for
totally
people's
give you the base
reference,
number.
yeah, is
No,
this a big
we
budget for you guys, or how'd you do with that?
we did all of this for less than $9,000. So I mean, it was, and we had good people. We paid people well. We had a nanny on set for someone's fabulous daughter, who I love.
Right. I have daughter will travel. You know?
And that
Just
was
so long.
part of her discussion as a director. It's like, great, I'm coming, but I'm bringing my daughter, and you'll need to get her a nanny so that I can work. And I was like, okay, it's in the budget. Sure, no problem.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
dear friend from LA, who watched Hope from the time she was born, and they already had an amazing relationship. She flew out to New Mexico for the shoot, and that way I knew that my daughter was safe. She was always within like arm's reach of me,
Hmm.
because that's really, I am a mom. Like I am a mom before I am anything else.
Right.
A mom, and I am a single mom, and I will put my child before anything else in the
Right.
world. And so it was amazing that Keith was so responsive and respectful and loving and kind and embraced that. And so Hope was, yeah, she was
Well, and,
not on
yep.
set. She was on set, on site the entire time, always within 30 seconds of my hand if needed.
And that was the amazing thing, and that's what was important to me, is she actually got to see you work too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah, watch mommy do what mommy does and see how badass mommy is,
Yeah.
because now Hope can grow up and be badass. So that's
So,
totally important.
so for
Yeah.
your budget, you were able to do a full pilot episode, kind of your photo
Pilot
shoot,
episode.
Spec pilot, so it was 18 minutes
spec
instead of what
pilot,
should have been 24 or 30 minutes. But yeah,
right? A
but that
spec
was,
pilot, your photo
yep,
shoot, your
photo shoot, the
editor.
editing, yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff. And we've
So,
probably spent another, $300-400 just submitting to festivals through Film
right.
Freeway. But, so I say make sure you budget for that kind of stuff as well, because you don't
Yes.
think it's a big deal, but the $20, $40, $60 starts, adding up over
Sure.
time. So, if you're going to do the marketing and everything afterwards, have that kind of a budget. But yeah, we laid it all out, and we were like, we can do it for this. Okay, yeah, that includes food, that includes, everything we needed. We paid our actors, but they did work on a larger deferred. So if we do sell it, they actually get what they deserve instead of what they
Mhm.
were willing to work for. So we made sure that was in their contract, so that if we do sell it, and even if they're not hired as the actors to play it, they will get a actual SAG salary for those 2 days they worked.
Wonderful. It sounds like you really did a good job, Keith, of building a real inclusive set, where you just wanted to lift the bar on what even a set is in film production as a community, more than just
Yeah.
Staff.
Yeah, and the
Right.
really funny thing is, right, there's this show I've written about a 40-something gay man and, you know, his gay friends and going on a gay date, and I'm the only gay on the set, right? So my straight friends, I was like, I'm sorry, but I wrote this thinking of you, Vic Browder. I wrote this thinking of you, Doug Montoya. And they're like, but are the gays going to be unhappy that straights played the gays? I'm like, no, actors play roles. These are your roles. Play the roles. Well, I didn't do too gay, did I? No, you were perfect gay. I wrote it that gay, so you are that gay. Trust me.
Perfect.
So yeah, it was actually amazing to kind of put all that group together and everybody just kind of mesh with it.
Nice. And so tell me a little bit about some of this recognition that you've gotten. You've entered several festivals, you've gotten some awards. Tell us a little bit about some of the success you've already seen with it.
Yeah, so the great thing is, so through this whole COVID thing, I've noticed that I have the ups and downs. And it was probably in, I think it was like April or May, we found out we were nominated for some of these things.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I was excited. I was like, yay, nominated for Best Actor, Best Pilot, Best Director.
Yeah.
We didn't know about the, Teddy Eggleston was for Best Actress, who plays my mom. And then we didn't know about the editing one, but then I forget about it. So one day I'm having one of those down days. It was June, it's before my birthday, I'm going to be 49. This is horrible. We haven't been selected for a single festival. I mean, we were up for awards, but we don't know that we actually made it. And is the festival going to happen? Because it's Palm Springs in September, so it's probably not going to happen. So I'm having a horrible down day. And then I see on Film Freeway, because I'm on there looking like, okay, is there another festival I should pay $40 to join? Let's see. And I see that the judging status was changed for the Queen Palms International Film Festival. So I was like, judging status changed. We were already selected. Let's go look. So I went to the website where they had announced all their awards. So I'm just starting like screenshotting all these different things, but they have a gold award, a silver award, a bronze award, an overall award. So I had to go to like 40 pages to look and see what we got. And I'm calling Michelle and I'm calling Carissa Mitchell, my agent and friend, and I'm calling all these people saying, and I'm like, every time I would hang up, I'd find another one. And I was like, oh my God, now I got to call everybody.
I got to call somebody else. Yeah.
So it was just this perfect like mix that we won some version, gold, silver, bronze, of every single thing that we were put up against. And I watched trailers. There were some amazing things. So it was the boost I needed.
Yeah.
In June to make me realize that this is what I want to do.
It was. I think I went like this, and it was horrible to be on the phone instead of face to face because he's like, "Oh my God!" and blah, 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 blah. I was just like, "Wait, what? Wait, what?"
Like, who is this? No.
Yeah. And the really bad thing is the first thing I did was, I'm sorry, Michelle, but I called Carissa first. So I called the wrong Carissa. So I called another Carissa who's not in the film industry. And I'm like, oh my God, Michelle Tomlinson. She won Best Director. And she's like, who's Michelle Tomlinson? My acting coach, my really good friend. You hooked us up. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah. And it was really exciting and very I think for Keith, it gave both of us that moment of the nomination for me. All of the nominations were plenty enough.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the correct direction because I've since been attached to direct 2 features. I'm in the middle of 2 documentaries directing.
Nice.
So it was like, okay, this was that moment because I don't like we don't live for validation, but to receive it out of the blue is just a wonderful gift. And it really makes me feel like, okay, this is that arrow that leaves the quiver and says you're headed in the right direction with the nomination. And so I was so excited. Like I flipped out about the nomination because I'm like, oh my God, this is, so when he calls and talks about all these wins, I was like, what? Huh? What?
Yeah.
And hope, like I get on, I was like, honey, like we won. And she goes like, what? And I was like, I know. Like we won one. Mommy, did you win? Yeah, I won. And she went ballistic and started jumping up and down and clapping, so to be able to set that example, like the award for me, any award of any kind, I just go, babe, like, you can pull yourself out of things and situations and you can create something so soul food good for yourself and for other people, and you can be a woman and do the things.
Yeah.
Amen.
Really, the bigger thing for me. And so she's like Keith, she's just like this confident woman.
Yeah.
And it grows. And so I just want to continue being like a good example as much as I can be. An example of somebody of being a woman in an industry that is sometimes challenging to be a woman in. I just want to be the woman that my daughter needs me to be, so that she has the opportunity to grow into the woman that she is.
Right.
That's where, all of it is for me now.
That's why I say women and girls have all the answers. And that's why I, as a white man of privilege, have to do what I can to support those around me, because it's the future.
Yeah. And I've had a chance to meet Hope, who is.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I actually remember I got to connect with Hope, you all in one nice little coffee setting. And I'll never forget, at one point, you were sitting down from us in the booth, Keith, and Hope and I were next to Michelle. And Hope looks at Michelle and points at you and says, "Tell him to come over here." And literally like summoned you,
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to be around him. Let him know he can join me.
Hope is the boss of me. We can all admit that. Hope is the boss of me.
Like when we are at Keith's house, I'll like grab my coffee and Keith's like, "Hey, little one," and Hope's like, "Keith," and then they just take off and go outside. Like I can see them through the windows. They go outside and they feed his fish, and they are enraptured in really epic conversation.
Oh,
it's
world peace. We're solving all kinds of stuff.
That's so great. Yeah, she really is going to be she's going to grow up to be one awesome human being. I tell you what. So let me ask you guys, where are you at now? And where are you at? What's your next steps? What are you really planning on doing? I mean, there's just no way Deeply Superficial is done, obviously.
No.
There's a lot to do with this project to get it out there. So kind of what are your next steps, and what support do you most need that we can help put out there into the community and the world of film to see if we can help connect you?
So the next big thing for me, because I learn by doing. So I've been learning this whole process of producing, writing, and acting all the way through this. My next thing is now pitching, right? So we got it in festivals. We're getting it out there. We just got an email that we're up for a couple of other really big festivals, which could be huge.
Nice.
We got an email back from a production company that is reviewing the project. So we really need help figuring out what's next. How do we get it in front of the right people?
Right.
How do we get it in front of the Will and Grace people? How do we get it in front of the Schitt's Creek people? Who do we know in our amazing network of people watching this that is going to be like, oh my God, which is what we all do in New Mexico. I need to connect A with B because C is going to happen, or whatever. So that's what we're looking for, is the connections, the guidance, the mentoring, something that allows us to learn what's next.
We need a badass showrunner. The showrunner to take it to Netflix or whomever and say, you've got to check this out. Let's talk about this and let's get that next piece. And the showrunner is the key component to gluing this to that.
Right.
Literally. So, and the issue as the writer is I don't have a literary agent, so I can't get the script in front of people because they're not going to take unsolicited submissions. Right. I don't want to go down the path of getting a literary agent because that's not my focus. My focus is an actor. This was a vehicle to make me an actor. So I don't want to go down that, and I'm prone to rabbit holes, so I have to be very careful. But I don't want to go down the literary agent rabbit hole.
Sure.
I also have no street cred as a new showrunner about a show I wrote, which doesn't give it any validation because I am the project, right?
Right.
So we've got to have somebody else who sees the value in it and then runs with it.
Right. And so the big vision for it is to be a web series, a streaming series.
I would say, I would think streaming,
Yeah.
just because we do deal with some adult content that's not going to be at ABC, CBS, NBC, but it could be Fox, or FX. It could be something like that. But I could totally see a
Amazon, Apple.
streaming version. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that would be
Nice.
amazing. We've actually, in our pitch documents, which I'm happy to also share with you to put a link someplace,
Yeah.
because it's good to have like an example of how you write a pitch document, because I had trouble finding that. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to share that resource with people. Like, we've got 3 years of the show planned out. We've
Wonderful.
got, season 1, all the episodes are planned out. Then season 2 and 3, the seasons, not the episodes specifically, but the seasons are planned out. And we did all of our work. So it's registered with the WGA. We've got our copyrights. We've got all that. So I am happy to share it with people,
Yeah.
because I had such a hard time finding what other people had done.
Right.
And this is where I'm very lucky that, I go back to, it's my PR marketing degree that's made me successful in everything versus any of my other skills as an entrepreneur, because it is about getting the word out there. So, we were in the Albuquerque Journal today in their venue section. They wrote about our awards we won. So,
Very cool.
the media, these kind of things inspires people. It inspires us, and it keeps us trudging forward.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, we will include all the information you want to share with everybody in our episode notes here on YouTube. Anything else you want to share before we wrap about the project or the people that you worked with or anything like that?
So I have one word of wisdom, which I think, used on this project, and it comes from my mother that she told me when I was a child, and it's shit or get off the pot. Because most people sit on the pot.
Yeah.
Yep. Most people
just do it.
You cannot wait to be discovered, and I'm just going to write a script, and then there's going to be a producer that shows up who wants to produce it. That's great, and maybe 0.0001% of the time that happens. Why not? If you have a vision, find a way to execute the vision.
Yeah.
Be the arrow that leaves the quiver. Go forward with your vision.
Much better than how my mom said it. So thank you.
Yes. We had a couple of various versions for everybody's appeal. I liked that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for both of you coming and joining me today. This has been wonderful. I, again, am your host, Carrie Rose O'Connell, and this has been another episode of the Storytellers series. Please make sure you follow and subscribe here on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you get notified when we have a new episode go live. And remember, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all your favorite channels, so follow us there to learn more about how Deeply Superficial Project and our next storyteller guest will be doing with their projects. Thanks so much.
And join New Mexico Women in Film.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you both so much. That was great.